The room fell into a silence that buzzed louder than any scream. Dust particles floated through shafts of dying sunlight, swirling between the standoff, Freyan, her fangs half bared, heart caught in her throat. Becky, gripping her hand like an anchor in a storm. And Saint, all cold smiles and unspoken cruelty. "You want me to kneel?" Freyan spat, her voice low and venomous. "You think I'll crawl just because you made me bleed first?" Saint's smile widened. "Oh, darling. I don't want you to kneel. I want you to rule beside me. You were never meant to survive this world. You were meant to own it." Becky stepped forward before Freyan could speak. "Greater than you want her to be your monster?" she said, eyes hard. "Then maybe it's time someone reminded you she has a heart too." Saint's gaze turned sharp. "Careful, sweetheart. Love doesn't survive the apocalypse." Billy's voice cut through the tension. "Neither do megalomaniacs, Saint. And last I checked, you bleed like the rest of us." Saint didn't flinch, but his gaze flicked to Billy, something unspoken there. History. Secrets. "Greater than you always were sentimental," Saint muttered. "That's why I left you behind." Then all hell broke loose. Two of Saint's infected lieutenants lunged forward, half human, half mutated horrors with limbs like bone daggers. Freyan reacted without thought. She shoved Becky behind her and launched herself into the chaos. Her claws tore through flesh. Her teeth grazed blood. "End it!" Becky watched with wide, horrified eyes as Freyan moved like a demon unleashed, fast, brutal, unstoppable. But then, Freyan froze. In the corner of her eye, she'd seen Becky flinch, not from the enemy, but from her. "Greater than Bex," Freyan whispered, her voice trembling. The second lieutenant lunged at her unguarded side. Billy tackled the creature, blade flashing, carving down the monster with a sickening snap of bone and shriek of pain. "Greater than focus, Fran," Billy barked. "You lose yourself now, and she's gone." Saint stepped backward into the shadows, watching, always watching. "Greater than you'll come find me when you're ready," he said calmly. "When the hunger's too loud. When the girl's blood smells too sweet. You'll come crawling, Fran." And then, he was gone. The hall echoed with silence once the last infected fell. Blood painted the marble floors. Breathing came heavy. Freyan stood with her claws still extended, shoulders heaving. Becky hadn't moved, not since she'd seen Freyan rip out a creature's throat like it was instinct. Billy wiped his blade clean, expression unreadable. "He's gone. For now." Freyan turned toward Becky. Her fangs slowly receded. Her body trembled, not from exhaustion, but from restraint. "Greater than say something," Freyan rasped. "Anything." Becky's eyes were still wide, but now softer. "You weren't going to hurt me." Freyan let out a breath. "You don't know that." "I do," Becky said, stepping forward. Freyan and Becky burst into the hallway, half-dressed, weapons drawn. Billy stood at the top of the staircase, his face pale. "Greater than what is it?" Freyan asked. Billy pointed downward. "Movement in the cellar. Something triggered the old surveillance system. You never told me your family had a bunker under this place." Freyan frowned. "Because I didn't know. My parents kept their secrets tight." Becky looked at Fran, then back at Billy. "We're going down there?" "Greater than we don't have a choice." The staircase descended deeper than Freyan thought possible. Cold air kissed their skin. Old brick, steel doors, and vines wrapped like veins across the walls. A thick metallic scent hung in the air, rust and something wrong. At the bottom was a reinforced vault door. Billy typed in. It blinked green. "Greater than how do you know the code?" Freyan asked. Billy hesitated. "Because he gave it to me. A long time ago." The door creaked open. Inside, a lab. Metal tables. Blood-stained restraints. Broken vials. Screens that flickered blue and gray. A cold chamber in the center pulsed faintly. "Greater than this is where it started," Billy said. "Project Azrael." Freyan's knees wobbled. She clutched the edge of a table. "Saint made me here." Becky stepped beside her. "This is your origin point." Billy activated the main console. A humming sound grew louder, and suddenly, the central screen lit up. Greater than video log. Subject, 𝖗𝖊𝖇𝖊𝖈𝖈𝖆'𝖘, date, 2 years before outbreak, researcher, Dr. 𝖗𝖊𝖇𝖊𝖈𝖈𝖈𝖆'𝖘. The video played. Fran, strapped to a chair, screamed. Her eyes bled red, her body convulsing. Saint stood beside her with a clipboard, eerily calm. Greater than she's holding. Better than subject 13. Her DNA sync rate is unprecedented. She'll be the first to survive full fusion with the parasite queen. Becky gasped. Queen? Freya clutched her stomach. I remember this. The pain. The darkness. I thought I died. Billy pointed to a second file blinking. This one's encrypted. But I can force it. He typed furiously. The screen flickered. Greater than Project Queen's will, emergency override detected. Suddenly, the lab lights dimmed. The chamber in the center opened with a hiss. And something stepped out. It looked human, but only, eyes black like the void. And on its chest, the symbol of Saint's cult burned red hot. Greater than shit, Billy whispered. It's an evolved carrier. A revenant. It lunged. Freya shoved Becky behind her and roared, eyes glowing crimson. She fought with everything, talons slashing, dodging, biting, but the revenant was stronger. Faster. Becky joined in, stabbing into its side, distracting it long enough for Fran to pin it. Billy tossed her a makeshift syringe from the console. Greater than inject it. It'll paralyze the nervous system. Freya stabbed it into the revenant's neck. It screeched and fell back, spasming violently before going limp. Silence returned. But not peace. That wasn't just a science experiment, Billy said. That was a message. Saint wanted us to see that. Freya was trembling again, her arms soaked in black blood. Becky reached for her. Greater than you okay? Freya looked up, jaw clenched. I'm not just infected. I'm connected. I think. I can feel them now. That wasn't just a science experiment, Billy said. That was a message. Saint wanted us to see that. Freya was trembling again, her arms soaked in black blood. Becky reached for her. Greater than you okay? Freya looked up, jaw clenched. I'm not just infected. I'm connected. I think. I can feel them now. Freya was trembling again, her arms soaked in black blood. Becky reached for her. Greater than you okay? Freya looked up, jaw clenched. I'm not just infected. I'm connected. I think. I can feel them now. After dragging the revenant's limp body into a containment chamber, Freya sat slumped against a wall, her hands shaking. Becky hovered near her, concerned. You're still hearing something, aren't you? Freya nodded slowly. Not just something. Him. A chill spread across the lab as Freya's voice dropped. Greater than he's inside my head, Becky. I hear Saint. Whispering. Like he's beneath my skin. Billy knelt beside a shattered console, prying open a drawer. Found something. He pulled out a rolled-up map, yellowed and marked with coded coordinates. In the corner was a stamped logo, Sector 9, Convergence. Greater than that's where we'll find him, Billy said. Or whatever he's become. Becky turned the map over. What's this writing? It looks like blood. The letters were smeared but legible. She is the key. Protect her, or we lose everything. Becky looked up slowly. Is that about me? Freya pushed herself up. No. It's about us. Somehow, Saint always knew we'd find each other. They made it back upstairs, and Billy went ahead to prepare their gear. Freya stood in her room, breathing hard. Becky approached from behind. You're still not okay. Greater than I nearly tore that revenant in half, Freya muttered. And for a moment, I loved it. She turned to Becky, eyes glowing faintly red. Greater than worse. When I smelled your blood just now. Becky touched her arm. It's okay. Greater than no, it's not. I wanted you. Becky blinked. You already, not like that. Freya's voice trembled. I wanted to sink my fangs in. I wanted to taste you. The tension was electric. Becky stepped closer. Then do it. Freya recoiled. Don't tempt me. I might not stop. Greater than then let's find out how strong you really are. Their lips met again, fierce and urgent. Becky tilted her neck, offering, trusting. Freyja hesitated, fangs elongating as she hovered just above Becky's skin. But instead of biting, she kissed her throat, soft, reverent. Greater than not yet, Freyja whispered. When we end this. When it's over. Then maybe. Later that night, while Billy loaded weapons into a truck, Freyja stood outside under the moonlight. Greater than you can hear me, can't you? Saint's voice slithered through her mind like oil. Greater than you think you're saving her. But every second you stay by her side, you bring her closer to ruin. Freyja unclenched her jaw. I won't become you. Greater than you already are. Suddenly, Freyja dropped to her knees, gasping. Her vision flashed, blood, flames, Becky screaming her name, and a single symbol etched in light. Sector 9. A city swallowed by fire. The convoy was ready by dawn. 3 armored vehicles. Weapons. Supplies. The Sector 9 map pinned on the dashboard. Fran, Becky, and Billy stood in silence as the sun rose through blood-colored skies. Becky reached for Freyja's hand. We don't have to go in blind. Greater than no, Freyja said, eyes cold. But we have to go in ready. Billy joined them, holding a datapad. There's something else you need to know. Freyja raised an eyebrow. Now's a hell of a time. Billy swallowed. When I said Saint gave me that code years ago. It wasn't a passing moment. I worked for him. Becky stiffened. You what? I didn't know what he was doing, not fully. I was part of his logistics team. I helped build the Sector 9 facility before it went dark. Freyja stepped closer, voice low. You lied. Greater than I tried to leave. I tried to burn every bridge to that place. But Saint's voice. It never left my head either. I didn't betray you. Billy looked at Becky. I just didn't want her to know. Greater than me? Becky's voice cracked. Billy nodded. You're more important than you realize. You're the stabilizer. You're the only one Freyja won't feed on. You're his insurance. Freyja shoved him hard. You used me to find her. No, I protected you both. And now, I want to finish what I started. I want him dead. That night, just as they neared the edge of the ruined outskirts of Sector 9, they hit a trap. Explosions erupted around the convoy. One of the cars flipped. Smoke and infected poured from the woods. But these weren't normal infected. They were coordinated. Controlled. Intelligent. Freyja grabbed Becky and ran for cover as Billy fired into the horde. A shadow stepped through the smoke, tall and composed. Saint. But not entirely human anymore, his body pulsed with violet veins, his eyes glowing gold. A crown of bone curled from his head. Greater than welcome, daughter. Freyja froze. You're not my father. Greater than not by blood. But by evolution. Saint raised his hand, and Freyja collapsed to her knees, screaming. A psychic wave hit her like a sledgehammer. Becky screamed her name, crawling to her side. Freyja. Saint smiled. You feel it, don't you? The hive. The pulse. You are one of us. And now. You'll bring her to me. Freyja's hands trembled. Her eyes bled red. Her fangs dropped. Her mind fractured. Greater than no, she whispered. I won't. Greater than yes, you will. Saint extended a clawed hand. Bring me the girl. Freyja turned to Becky, breathing raggedly. For a terrifying moment. Becky saw nothing in her eyes. Just hunger. Greater than Fran. Please. Come back. Freyja's claws lifted, aimed at Becky's chest. Greater than you're the only thing keeping me human, she said softly. Then turned her claws, and plunged them into her own stomach. Saint howled in rage. Freyja fell forward into Becky's arms, gasping. Run. Tell Billy. Finish it. Greater than no. I'm not leaving you. Becky pressed her hand over Freyja's wound. We do this together. Or not at all. From the wreckage, Billy emerged covered in blood, a detonator in hand. I've got a bomb rigged to the entrance of the Sector 9 core. We can trap him inside. Greater than but you'll have to drag her. She's fading. Becky glared at him. You helped me carry her. You owe her that. As they retreat toward the Sector 9 ruins, Becky holds Freyyn tightly, whispering against her hair. You're not a monster. You're mine. In the shadows behind them, Saint watches, grinning. Let the final act begin.